Greetings once again, Ghouloots. Welcome to the Vault of All Things EC. Tommy Burns, EC Fan-Addict here, and today we're going to talk about the infamous GHOULUNATIC Photos. So to talk about the GHOULUNATIC Photos, we first have to talk about Paul Cast, the EC office boy. So what did the office boy do? Essentially, he was Bill Gaines' assistant. He would do chauffeuring, he sat in on story conferences, he'd run errands, take care of things around the office. And here we can see him as drawn by John Severin on this EC Comics subscription flyer. And there he is right in the center next to Bill Gaines. And he's asking Al Feldstein, what do we do with all this money? Al says, throw it out. There's no room for any more of it around here. So as a money-making scheme, Paul Cast came up with the idea that, the horror hosts, the Old Witch, the Crypt Keeper, the Vault Keeper, were starting to get their own fan bases, getting a lot of mail. So he went to Bill Gaines with the idea of offering their photographs for sale. And in true Bill Gaines fashion, he said, that's a great idea as long as you handle everything. So that's just what Paul Cast did. He operated out of his home in Merrick, New York, and he handled the sale of these GHOULUNATIC Photos. And also in true Bill Gaines fashion, Gaines let Paul Cast keep the money to pay his tuition through law school. So they actually got this done, and it was announced first by the Old Witch in Haunt of Fear number 4. So this is the November-December issue of Haunt of Fear. And in this, the Old Witch says, now for the big surprise announcement. Inspired and flattered by your thousands of letters requesting my picture, I flew downtown to Dungeon Studios, professional photographers, where I had my lovely countenance forever immortalized by the camera. I left the photographer a raving maniac, his equipment demolished, his studio a shambles, but the negative intact. Want my picture? I warn you, you know how beautiful I am. If you think you can stand it, send 10 cents in coin to me at the above address and you will receive in return an actual photographic reproduction. Not a drawing, but a full 5x7 glossy picture autographed by me. Isn't that a deal? You said a bloody mouthful. Following the Old Witch, in the February-March 1951 issue of the Vault of Horror, the Vault Keeper makes a similar announcement saying, now for an exciting announcement. I see that the Old Witch has had pictures of herself taken. This in itself should set the art of photography back 50 years, but not content with this disgusting feat, she's had the gall to offer them for sale to her poor intimidated readers. She will probably succeed in disseminating thousands upon thousands of the vicious things about the country. In an effort to right this wrong, I, the Vault Keeper, reluctantly agreed to allow my picture to be taken. So I'm now happy to announce that I too can offer to my discerning readers an equally revolting picture of myself. Again, at the cost of a dime, you could get a photo of the Vault Keeper. Seemingly last to join the party was the Crypt Keeper in the April-May issue of Tales from the Crypt, where the Crypt Keeper announces, here's the news your palpitating little hearts have been pounding for. I went and had my picture taken too. Whooping werewolves, I'm disgustingly ugly. So if you would like a disgustingly ugly picture of me, not a drawing but a 5x7 actual photographic reproduction, autographed no less, to proudly hang on the wall of your tomb, send 10 cents with your name and address to me at the below address. Oh yeah, if you're lazy and want Tales from the Crypt shoved under your ugly nose by the mailman every 2 months, send 75 cents in your name and address to me, the Crypt Keeper. So these weren't taken at Dungeon Studios downtown, and they weren't taken at different times. They were all taken at the same time in the EC offices. What did they look like? Here's an original set of the 1950-51 GHOULUNATIC Photos. All of these are Johnny Craig in makeup applied by Al Feldstein. So you had EC artist Johnny Craig as the Old Witch, the Vault Keeper, and the Crypt Keeper. The makeup was done by Al Feldstein. They started in Bill Gaines' office, but as things got messy, they moved the photo studio to the EC stockroom, which had a sink. As a trivial side note, the Vault Keeper's candle holder here is actually Bill Gaines' ashtray. This is before Bill Gaines stopped smoking. So here you have the actual photos that were mailed out. I don't have an original mailing envelope, but my Vault Keeper picture, and it's going to be really hard for you to see it here, but it's got the faint traces of a Merrick, New York postmark. Paul Cast's home in Merrick, New York. And when I discovered that, I put the call out to other fan addicts if anyone had GHOULUNATIC Photos where they could see the traces of a postmark. I have a friend who actually lives locally here whose Crypt Keeper photo has the same traces of a postmark from Merrick, New York on the back. The envelope itself is even rarer than the photos, but I'll show you what it looks like. Here was the envelope with the Merrick, New York postmark, and the return address is the initials of the Ghoul Lunatics. This comes from Grant Geisman's book Collectively Mad, which I highly recommend, and I have a very well thumbed through copy that I reference almost daily. So there have been a lot of questions about the Ghoul Lunatic photos, the originals versus the reprints, and pretty famously there was a reprint set of glossies that was issued around 1969. And just as far as, you know, the weight of the paper, the originals are on almost like a cardstock thicker paper, where the glossies are on a thinner glossy photographic paper. And I should point out that comics pixologist and historian Ivan Briggs has pointed out that the originals were mechanically reproduced, and so they've got a really fine dot pattern to them that you can see under a magnifying glass, where the reprint set was photographically reproduced. Both are collectible. The reprint set seems to have been issued probably by Howard Rojofsky, the comics dealer, because around the same time that he issued an EC Index, which was actually a ripoff of Fred von Bernowitz's EC Checklist, Fred von Bernovitz had this to say about it. What is even more interesting to me is the fact that there's enough interest to warrant a certain comics fan, Rojofsky, to issue a drearily retyped, poorly printed, terribly overpriced, unauthorized, and illegal edition of this work, which he calls the new EC Index. Well, around the same time in his catalogs of the EC Index, he started advertising Ghoul Lunatic photos that he claimed were reproduced from the original negatives. I doubt that, because there's honestly a loss of quality between the originals and the reproductions, but they both look pretty good. So here you've got 1950, 51, here you've got around 68, 69, the reprints, and the reprints are about 1/8 of an inch taller than the originals, and the other big difference is they're on floppy glossy paper. We've got a picture here in Squatron number 5 of Johnny Craig in his Vault Keeper makeup holding a copy of Vault of Horror number 15, which kind of helps to date when the photos might have been taken. And Squatron number 5 has an excellent, excellent article about the Ghoul Lunatic photos with a lot of photographs of the making of the Ghoul Lunatic photos. And there you see Johnny Craig and Al Feldstein just getting started. It's got text by Paul Cast himself and photo captions by Johnny Craig. So anyone interested in the Ghoul Lunatic photos, definitely you want a copy of Squatron number 5. And I'll just close by saying that if anybody has an envelope that I can put with my photos, I'll be happy to accept one. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and let me know if there's anything you'd like to see me babbling about EC in the future. Thanks for watching.